What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Picks and Roll DFS. So tonight we went 2-1, which makes us 14-3 on free picks since last Tuesday. That's a heater. And today I've got 4 plays I really like, plus multiple angles on Veronica Burton. But first, let's hit today's bankroll tip. When you've got several props on the same player, like we do with Veronica Burton today, don't feel pressure to hammer just one line. Instead, you can split smaller units across the best correlated lines. That way, if she underperforms overall, you've got multiple ways to cash instead of risking everything on one angle. That's how you build long term. All right, let's go into today's first play. We have Odyssey Sims going under 1.5 made threes. So first, we can see that this line opened this morning at just 1-3. It's jumped all the way to 1.5, but we can see that the under is the favorite here on FanDuel at minus 225. At Bet365, it's minus 210. And then we have it here on Underdog at minus 268. And then on Sleeper, it's minus 270. We can see in her last 20 games, she's gone below this line 15 out of 20 times for a 75% rate. Additionally, head-to-head, as well as this year and last, she's gone below this line 3 out of 5 times. But on this season, we have a 50% going under on May 21st and then going above on June 1st. Now, when we look at some of that additional data, especially like Phoenix defense against three-pointers, we can see that they're pretty neutral. So they average about 5 3 points made allowed. Additionally, we can see she averages about 3 and usually makes, they say 1.8, so around 2 is her average. But keep in mind, we have a pretty decent defense here. Additionally, we can see that she's failed to exceed 1.5 3-pointers in 10 of her last 11 games. We can also see that Phoenix has done a really good job against guards overall in the past few games since August 17th, only allowing 3 guards to go above their lines. And only one of them hit 2, which was Veronica Burton, which we'll get into in a bit. So, although Phoenix is a mid-level perimeter defense, I don't believe the volume's there, which is why I'm choosing the under on Odyssey Sims. Now, if you've been trailing this 14-3 run, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit subscribe so you never miss another slate breakdown. Let's go to pick 2, where we have Satou Sabally going lower than 5.5 rebounds. Now we can see again, we talk about FanDuel being one of the places that we look for as a sharp book for our props for WNBA. And when they have the under 5.5 favored at minus 125. But we can see this is favored amongst all platforms and sports books. So you have multiple places that you can choose to place this bet. Now, we can also see that Indiana's rebound defense is excellent. They're ranked second in the league for rebounds allowed. Then we can look at her last 20, where we can see she's gone below this line 15 out of 20, averaging and having a median around 4.5. We can also see head-to-head. We have 2 games from this year, 2 games from last year. Each season, she's going 50%, and then averaged about 6.5 both seasons. We can also look at the season, where we can see it's about a 50% rate. A lot higher in the beginning of the season, and it's kind of tapered off with a few outliers here and there. in the latter parts of the season. We can also see in the insights that she has failed to exceed 5.5 rebounds in 5 straight games at home, only averaging 4 in that span. And then same thing that we did before with the previous play for Odyssey Sims 3s, we can see that Indiana has only allowed 2 players since August 22nd to go above their rebounding line, which is why I like Satou Sabally's under 5.5 rebounds. Quick reminder, if you're not on Betr yet, code DIME gets you a free $10 plus a 50% deposit match up to $200. That's free bankroll to play with. And if you send me a screenshot to picksandrolldfs@gmail.com, you'll get a free month in my Winnable, where I send VIP plays directly to your phone every day. All right, next play. We have Jonquel Jones going above 1.5 3-pointers. Now, this has been one of my favorite plays throughout this season. We tried to play it last week, I believe, but this was one of those push plays or refunded or canceled plays because she did not play. But we're going to play it again. Kind of like just like we did with Maddie Segrist. First time we played her prop, didn't hit. But again, I'm playing the long game, looking at that data. We played it again today, and it was a hit. So if we look at her last 20, she's going above this line 13 out of 20 times, averaging 2 threes per game. We can see it last 5, 80%, 4 out of 5. Last 10, 7 out of 10, she's gone above this line. And then head-to-head, only 1 game, she hit 2. Then on the season as a whole, she's gone above this line 63%, 17 out of 27, with an average of 1.93, so close to 2, and a median of actually 2. Now we can see she attempts 4.3 a game, so if she gets hot, this can be a no-sweat bet. Now, we can see here for 3-pointers for centers versus Golden State, there's only been 1 data point. So that's kind of hard to look at. You want a larger sample size. But we can see the insight where Jonquel Jones has exceeded 1.5 3-pointers in 8 straight games versus bottom 5 defenses for 3-pointers. And we can see here that Golden State is one of those bottom tier teams, which is why this is a solid play and has been a solid play for the majority of the season. As we can see, she's cashed this 63% of the time. And then again, it's a huge favorite on a majority of DFS platforms and sportsbooks. Now, I know I mentioned the Winnable with a sign-up screenshot of your sign-up to Betr using code DIME. But if you already have Betr and still looking to get into my VIP, I still have a discount. If you use the code FOUNDER on sign up, you will get a discount of $30 off for your first month. Join now to lock in those savings before the price goes up. We're cashing daily in the VIP. Our last play for today is going to be Veronica Burton going lower than 5.5 rebounds. Now we can see on the season as a whole, she's cashed this line 29 out of 39 times for a 74% hit rate. In the head-to-head matchups, she's also cashed this from last year and this year 6 out of 7 times for an 86% hit rate. In the last 20, 70% hit rate, cashing this 14 out of 20 times. We can also see the delivery in regards to rebound defense for guards. Not the best. This isn't favorable for us as they rank 11th But keep in mind, they've had a lot of injuries this year. Breonna Stewart's been out. Sabrina has also been out pretty often. So those are two people who dominate the boards. Keep that in mind when you're looking at data points such as this. Another cool thing that you can do on Outlier in that regard is you can look at games with players, right? So if I wanted to see how would this look if Sabrina was in the game, how does that change things? And then it would change the data here. Or you can say, what is that like without, let's say, Breonna Stewart? Right, and then we can see how that changes. It's one of just the cool data points that you can see from Outlier. Now, as I mentioned, there are a few other plays that I really, really like for Veronica Burton, and you can choose the ones that you want to play. You can spread them out, as I mentioned in the bankroll tip, or you can choose the one that you like the most and ride with that one. Now, one of my other favorite plays for Veronica Burton is the under 19.5 points and rebounds. As you can see, this is favored on FanDuel at minus 130, which is solid. And then we can also see on the season, 72% hit rate, and a head-to-head matchup, 7 out of 7, which is what we love to see. Then the next one that I really love is going to be the under 26.5 PRA. Again, cashed it 7 out of 7 times. On the year, 74% hit rate. Last 20, 70% hit rate. All things that I love to see. And as you can see with each of those plays, this line has moved a lot. So you want to make sure that you're making a decision and make it fast before those lines move again. Now, make sure you are tracking and researching your own plays with Outlier and Pikkit. Outlier makes the data simple, and Pikkit lets you track your ROI. For both Outlier and Pikkit, to get a free trial, use the code LOB at signup. More details are in the description. So again, today's plays, we have Odyssey Sims going lower than 1.5 3-pointers made, Satou Sabally going lower than 5.5 rebounds, Jonquel Jones going higher than 1.5 3-pointers made, and Veronica Burton going lower than 5.5 rebounds. Let's keep stacking those wins, and as always, let's build that row.